I didn't feel that he was uncomfortable talking. I think he was a man that was very conscientiously trying to remember all of his public statements he has made and trying to assemble them. I think he's inviting dialogue. I think it's edgy. I think it's risky. I didn't feel that he was uncomfortable talking. I think he was a man that was very conscientiously trying to remember all of his public statements he has made and trying to assemble them to be consistent. I think that what he's inviting is a dialogue that might be able to change things gradually, much the way a child coming out to his or her parents will gradually change their mind.
But, Michael, a dialogue would mean an actual dialogue. Invite Rick Warren into the White House a week after the inauguration, a month after the inauguration, 2 months after, with some other religious conservatives and maybe some gay activists and maybe some other progressives, and actually have a dialogue. Your inauguration is about sending a message of what your administration is going to be and literally putting forth that symbolism of what it is and what you believe in. And if it's about dialogue and change, then put somebody in that position who is giving the invocation who actually is about dialogue and change. This man's not about that. This man's about shutting things down. This man's about using this as a politically opportunistic event. This man's not going to change his mind. No way, no how from this particular invocation event. He's going to use it to his advantage, and it gives him legitimacy that he shouldn't be getting. He's getting legitimacy out of this.
Well, I understand that point, and it's a very good point. I guess from my standpoint, I think that this is one of many venues, one of many opportunities where these kind of statements are going to have the stage, and that I think it's going to open up the stage for dialogue later.
Well, why not bring in people who... Do you believe anybody should be brought in then? Should a racist be giving the invocation? There are still a lot of people who voted against Barack Obama because he was black. Do you think he should give one of those people the invocation slot?
Well, I understand your point, Michael. I think just for me, it's just... And it's really, he's trying to say, all right, this is America. We are diametrically opposed on several of these issues, and that I'm bringing America together on the same stage for this one moment here to let you know that I'm going to try to include, viewpoints from both sides of the spectrum, and that later some of these dialogues will come to the fore.
Mike in St. Louis, you're on the Michelangelo Signorelli Show.
Hi, Michelangelo. I got 2 points. I'm defending Obama. Don't you think that maybe his unity message and inclusiveness message is a code word or a polite way of saying, like it or not, these are all Americans too, like the Rick Warrens and his followers?
Well, I don't think it's a code word. I think he is saying that directly.
And we need them. You know, I felt the same way about the Donnie McClurkin thing, or whatever the fuck his name was.
Donnie McClurkin, the ex-gay gospel singer who he had on his gospel tour, who he told us he didn't know he was anti-gay. Now he can't make that excuse this time.
Back then, we needed every vote we could get. And now we're not running for office, but... we still need... But,
Mike, why do you give a privilege to anti-gay people and not racist or anti-Semitic people? If you were to tell me he should have an anti-Semite up there, somebody who believes it's okay that the Jews were targeted, or that Jews are dirty, or that Jews shouldn't have the rights of other people, or that blacks shouldn't have the rights of other people. If you were to tell me that's part of including, because let me tell you, there are a lot of Americans who believe that. If that's part of including all Americans, fine. But you're not. You're saying just these anti-gay people.
Michelangelo, fortunately, there are far fewer followers of those types of ideology than Rick Warren's followers. And that is why the comparison is not fair. Because
just because a number, so numbers makes it okay.
Rick Warren any more than you do.
Wait, the numbers make it okay? Make their bigotry okay?
Yeah, well, it doesn't make it okay, but it explains how Obama's approach is.
How you tell me? Okay, you got to tell me. I want you to tell me how including them changes the mind of some of these millions of people you're talking about. You see, I believe that the way that you have to proceed is to say, we are not going to give legitimacy to people who believe in hatred. Okay? We are not giving it any legitimacy. That is the way people who believe in diversity and inclusion operate. We're not giving legitimacy. If you give it legitimacy, what makes these people change their minds? I don't understand what makes them change their minds. What makes them say, gee, I'm wrong, I need to change? Why do you think people changed about racism? Because they became isolated. They became suddenly on the outside. Laws were passed. They couldn't fire people because they're black. Suddenly they had to go underground with their views. They then changed their views. If you give them legitimacy, how does it change them?
I hate to admit this, Michelangelo, but motherfuckers like Rick Warren already have legitimacy in the eyes of a lot of people.
But why give them more legitimacy?
Because Obama's approach is to let everyone at the table. And he may not...
No, it's not. He's not letting David Duke at the table.
It's again, I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Why?
They're both bigotry, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, the anti-Semitic or racist angle is far more stigmatized, rightfully, in this country.
But how do you think it happened?
But
Mike, how do you think that happened? That they became stigmatized because they were included at events? Is that how it happened?
There's not a direct equation.
No. Is that how it happened? Is there a president who said, I want the racist as doing my invocation, and then suddenly the next year, racism ended? Is that how it happened? I don't remember that in history.
You know as well as I do that is not the equation that I'm presenting here.
I understand what you're presenting is that reaching out and talking is a good thing. That's not what's going on here. This entire event is a symbolic event. And Obama doesn't have to give them legitimacy in order to talk to them and maybe bring people together. This was not the day to do it. Do it the day after, not this day.
His approach is different than yours.
I understand that.
It's symbolic, and it is symbolic, and symbolism is important to these Christian people, that they are shown respect. We don't want to start off Obama's
when they show, but wait, Mike, when they show us respect, how dare you, not to get, prickly with you, but how dare you say we have to show them respect and we don't want to start off Obama's administration not showing them respect? This man has said we should not have any rights. That's not respect.
We're never going to get their respect by ostracizing them and being combative. Unfortunately,
yes, we
don't
will.
have the numbers. We don't have the numbers that your previous.
Well, we would have the numbers if our president actually followed what the base of his party and the people who elected him wanted to do. Because this outrage is something that is coming from across the progressive and liberal world.